Welcome to Before the Whistle, powered by Phoenix Sports, where simulation meets reality. The round of 16 showed us why football, the World Cup, is one of the greatest tournaments in football. And I can tell you, our favorites were tested. Underdogs rose to the occasion. And in this one, we'll be revisiting what we had to do last week on the show, the predictions that we did have. For the round of 16 to compare with what actually happened at the World Cup. We'll also be diving into those quarterfinal fixtures that are already confirmed. At our time of recording right now, Argentina and Egypt have not played their game, and also Switzerland against Colombia. So we won't be touching those games based on we don't have the outcome of those ones. But still, will EAFC be able to predict this one right? We'll be diving into that next. But as usual, it's still Before the Whistle. And remember, life is a game. Press play. Welcome back, guys. It's still Before the Whistle. Right now, we'll be diving into what we had to see last week. We did simulate those matches, at least some of those matches that were happening in the round of 16. I can tell you that based on what we can see, we did get some rights. But let's quickly dive into that one. And the first one, it was that match between Canada and Morocco. This first simulation, they have that one at 1-1, second one at 2-2, and the third one at 1-0. The expected outcome for that one was actually supposed to be a 1-1 scoreline. We're expecting that one to go into extra time. But that Moroccan team was able to come out clutch in this one. As the expected outcome for that one was 1-1, but the actual result did end at 1-0 for that Moroccan side. Coming even after losing their top goal scorer at the World Cup this year, winning that one 1-0. And the next one was that game between Paraguay and France. That match, I did tell you that it was more of a wrestling match than actual football. Well, the simulation, they have that one at 2-2, a 4-0 win for that French team, and also another 0-0 draw in that one. The expected outcome for that one was actually, we expected it to be a 2-0 win for that French team. But as usual, some things go our way, some things don't go our way. But we're able to see that one with that French team coming up 1-0 against that Paraguay team. Kylian Mbappe. For you guys that do play AFC, how you call him the dictator. Also, we know how the memes have been going around. But looking at the next game, is that one between Brazil and Norway, and this is where the shockers. I did mention underdogs before when I was talking during the intro, and this one I can tell you that this is where we did see the first clash where another dog came up on top in this round of 16. And I can tell you that this one, this first simulation had it at 1-1. The next one had that one at a 3-1 win for Brazil, and also another 3-0 win for them. The expected outcome for that one was meant to be a 2-0 win for that Brazilian side. But as you can know, Erling Haaland, throughout when we started this Before the Whistle, I've always been telling when it comes to this Norway team is who can be clinical. And that man, Erling Haaland, was able to put his team on his back, and not too active in the game, but he was able to come up clutch for them when they needed him. That match ending 2-1 in favor of Norway. Looking at the, some of the other games that did happen also in the round of 16 was that one between Mexico and England. That match was so, I can tell you that's one of the best matches we had so far at the World Cup. That one, the simulation, they have it at the 3-1 win. First one, 3-1 win for England, a 0-0 draw for them, and also another 1-0 win for that English team. The expected outcome for that one was meant to be a 1-0 win for this English side, but that game did end up 3-2 the scoreline, even after that English team had collected the red card. Kwanzaa, the one on the receiving end for that disciplinary action. We did dive into some other things later because it's looking like the FA might want to follow the route of the United States by appealing for that one. But we'll speak about some of those things that really have been happening at the World Cup. But the next one is this one between Portugal and Spain. That one, it was basically, we could say, maybe the biggest match of the round of 16. In terms of quality and players on show, it was actually the biggest match you want to watch. We looking at some of the simulations that we did have for that one, as I did say last week, the first simulation had a 3-0, another 0-0 draw in that game for the second simulation, and a 1-0 win for that Portuguese side. The expected outcome for that one was meant to be a 1-0 win for this Spanish side, and that was the actual outcome that we did have in the match, because we saw I would say it was a dull game. Some disappointment, I would say, from my side in terms of some of the players, as we did see that man Ronaldo buying out in this one as in his final World Cup game. Emotional scenes there for one of the greats in the game. We're looking at the last game that we did speak about from last week, was that one between the USA and Belgium. If you as long as you're not living under a rock, you'd have known what was happening when it came to this United States Belgium game. I did mention last week that Folarin Balogun was suspended for this one after picking up a red card in the round of 32 fixture. But apparently that decision was reversed, and he was eligible to play for this one. Controversy coming into play, people questioning what if President Trump had influenced FIFA's decision to actually rescind the red card. It's suspended this one, because there's a rule that does guide through that, and legally it might have been correct, but at the same time you also need to look at it that when it comes to things, especially when it involves the host nation, there will always be questions. Yes, and those controversies did come into place for that in that match between USA and Belgium. But some of the other games, we cannot actually speak on them right now because they have not been played. I did tell you that match between Argentina and Egypt, Argentina qualifying after they had narrowly escaped against that Cape Verde team, and also Switzerland against Colombia. We don't have those confirmed results at the time of recording. The round of 16 is over, but we're looking into the quarterfinal, and I can tell you there's some blockbuster games. We do have 3 games to speak on in this one. I can tell you it's going to be really engaging here as we speak about this one, to dissect what the simulation has to say, and also what we expect from these games. I will speak about that one next, but as usual, it's still myself, Gabriel, here. And remember, life is a game. Press play. Yes, guys, you see your boy Gabriel here. I'm still here on Before the Whistle. We're diving into the quarterfinal fixtures right now. I can tell it's going to be a really, really interesting one, because we still have the African team there, and I can tell it's be that match between Morocco and France. France coming into this one with a good record against Morocco. And I can tell you that just looking at some of the simulations that we did have for this one, it was quite interesting what it had to say. The first one that we can be looking at, this one is the first simulation. They have it as 1-1. Second simulation also a 1-1 scoreline in that one, but the last one they did have a 3-0 win for that French team. The expected outcome for this one is going to be a 1-0 win, so we do expect that French team to maybe narrowly skate through as they did do against Paraguay. The next game is that one between Spain and Belgium. Spain meeting this Belgian side after narrowly beating that Portuguese team. Looking at some of the simulations that we did have, it was a 0-0 scoreline, 0-0 draw, a 1-0 win for this Belgium side, and also another 0-0 draw. And this one, the expected outcome for this one is a 0-0 scoreline. We're looking to see maybe this match might get into extra time. I do think that Spanish team were quite underwhelming against Portugal, and they will need to switch things up, especially after Belgium had angrily beaten that USA team in the round of 16 to qualify to this quarterfinal stage. That was that scoreline being 4-1. The next one I did like to speak about is that one between Norway and England, and it's Erling Haaland against Harry Kane, 2 of the top strikers in Europe, even the world, not to say. In this one, the first simulation had a 3-1 win for this English side. The second one a 3-0 win, and also the last simulation had a 0-0 draw for that one. The expected outcome for that one will be a 2-0 win for this English side. But I want us to speak about some of these games a little bit in depth. I can tell you that looking at that game between France and Morocco, the French team are currently unbeaten in 6 meetings against this Moroccan side, winning four out of those 6 games and drawing two. The most recent victory for that French team was that match, that 2-0 win in the semi-final in 2022 World Cup with your Hernandez on the score sheet in that one. And also, if you're thinking about some of the reasons why this French team might eventually come up on top in this game, they've met African teams twice here at the World Cup, and they've won on both occasions. One being 2014. That one against Nigeria, and also the match I just mentioned against Morocco, this semi-final match where they did come up 2-0 winners in that one. But it's not all the French side. If you're looking at this Moroccan side, so far they've only lost 2 of their 9 World Cup matches against European opponents, winning 3 and also drawing 4 out of those matches. And also they've also lost just 2 of their 13 World Cup games so far, winning 6, and FIFA World Cup games, winning 6 and drawing 5 of those games. And also I can tell you they have the first African team so far to reach the quarterfinal stages in consecutive World Cup scenarios. And coming into this one, they will have that confidence looking to pick out this French team. I do think that 1-2 combination play might hurt this French team, especially when it comes to the midfield. But one thing you need to keep in mind is that the top striker for them, their top goal scorer, Ismaila, is actually injured currently. So we'll be looking to see if he's able to recover in time for that fixture and eventually get that victory. But looking at the other game, looking at the other games that will be happening, that one between Norway and England, that one is quite interesting. How this game is going to, Haaland is missing the Premier League boys has been playing match after match during the 38th league season that did just conclude. We saw how he was dominant against that man Gabriel in Brazil. So will he be telling his Man City? Will he be telling his Man City teammates to let him slide and also get a goal in that one? But some key numbers coming into this game. Norway currently are actually averaging 2.7 goals per 2.7 goals scored per match at the World Cup so far, higher than the 2 teams. Also, they're also conceding, while they're also on the attacking side, they're also conceding 2.3 goals per match at the World Cup. That's another underlining vulnerability for this. For this Norwegian side, but also the English side are also conceding about 0.7 goals per match so far at the World Cup. So you could say they've reflected a level of discipline when it comes to the World Cup so far. And I said this, I think it was the first episode, that the squad that Tuchel picked for this one, it's suited for knockout rounds. This is where you know who is the dog in the knockout round. Tuchel is the knockout manager, and he has shown that previously across his career, most notably that Champions League win with that Chelsea side. It's very, very interesting what will be on show in that one, because as I did mention before, it's Haaland against that man Kane, but also he needs to be very, very watchful about that man they call Bellingham. He's currently the main man for Hurricane might be the face of the English team, but that man Bellingham is moving like a superstar at this World Cup, and he will be looking to impose his dominance again, just as he did against Mexico. The last match I'll be looking at in that one is between Spain and Belgium. The simulation, they have it at the 0-0 scoreline, but I don't know if the Belgian side have turned a new leaf, or it was just the United States opponents that they did play against. And because if you can look at how they've been performing this at this World Cup, they've not really been up to par. That match against Senegal, I do think that they were a bit lucky, and it was the Senegalese side that did let loose on that one, or less they would have been knocked out in this one. But if the simulations, if we're going by the simulation, it will be another shocker with them coming up on top in that fixture. It's Yami Yamal against KDB. We're seeing Lukaku. I think so far he's the first substitute, first player to come on to be substituted 4 times at the World Cup and score a goal. So that'll be something that that Spanish team will be looking to lock down, because if the Catalara, who so far the World Cup has been underwhelming, doesn't perform. He did get 2 goals against that United States side, but he will be looking to add to that against the Spanish side also. Do you guys agree with some of these things we've put out so far? Let us know in the comment section. We'll still be back to review what we did have to say about this quarterfinal. But as usual, it's still before the whistle. Can ESC predict what's going to happen at the World Cup? As usual, remember, life is a game. Press play.